Once again, thank you so much for joining us for the forum today. And now for the opening remark, please join me in welcoming Ms. Amalia Dai, Secretary General, Bureau of Foreign Trade, Ministry of Economic Affairs, to the stage. Let's welcome her. Executive Vice President of TITRA, Mr. Cho, and Mr. Wu, Chairman of TPA, and Mr. Masilio from CONEBI, and Edward Benjamin, Chairman of LEVA, and Charlie Liu, Representative of BAS, Johnson Wu from CHC, and Ross Stewart Campbell from Singapore, and all the speakers, all the participants, and all the members from the industry, and ladies and gentlemen, and all of you who join us online. Good morning. I think every year in spring, one of the biggest events is definitely Taipei Cycle and TAISPO. It is getting warmer right now, and it's time for us to get it moving. So I think I really like the topic of our forum today, resilience, sustainability, and beyond. I can really sense and also feel a lot of energy and also passion in the air. I really believe that's what we're going to do. So on behalf of the Bureau of Foreign Trade, I would like to firstly extend my warmest welcome to all of you. Thank you to TITRA for organizing this wonderful event. Via the forum today, we hope to share with you what's going on in the industry and what are some of the latest trends are, and how do we really sail through and navigate this very challenging world where digitalization and also more and more digital services are available. And as the pandemic subsides, we see a lot more outdoor activities booming right now. And of course, in response to the impact of climate change, more and more people are turning their attention to cycling or sports, fitness activities that do not cause any damage to the environment. So if the weather is good, many people probably nowadays would choose bicycles as a means to commute to their work. I think we have seen a lot of European and also European countries and also the US have been encouraging the public to use bicycles a bit more for work or for recreation. So we see growing number of bicycles. For Taiwan, last year we have seen a 23% of growth in terms of export value of bicycles. Last year, the export value achieved 1.5 billion US dollars. And also another very important topic right now is digital transformation. How do we incorporate AR, VR, artificial intelligence, metaverse, and some of the latest applications into what we do? So I'm very happy to see a lot of companies in the industry right now, they are very welcoming all these new technologies. They are developing sensors and also devices, equipment that incorporate all these new technologies. And that really opens up a lot of new opportunities for the industry and transforming the landscape of the industry. According to the latest survey, the total market of the sporting goods industry will surpass 800 billion US dollars, and sports tech alone will be worth about 30 billion. So you see how huge a market that represents. And Taiwan not only is the kingdom for bicycles, but we are also OEMs for a lot of sporting goods. And what's more, Taiwan is famous for its ICT and also high-tech products. So that gives Taiwan a lot of advantages to really develop the industry. Last year, the Executive Yuan, Taiwan's cabinet, has launched Sports Everywhere, this special project to stimulate the development of the sporting goods industry and also the sports industry as a whole in Taiwan. Also, in response to the changing nature of the global economy, the Taiwan government has also specified policies focusing on developing smarter technologies and also digital technologies for the members of the industry in Taiwan as well as SMEs to keep growing and to respond to the challenges. Another thing that I want to touch upon is the net zero transition. For us to achieve our net zero goals, of course, the government also plays a very important role. They have to help members of the industry to reduce carbon emissions. And especially that a lot of local companies, they are selling their products to Europe or the US, where some of the net zero and also GHG emissions regulations are more comprehensive. So what we want to do here is to really help the companies, SMEs in Taiwan to achieve the net zero goal by funding and also launching different projects. I do hope the forum today will help you have a better understanding where the sporting and also the cycling industry is going in the future. I would like to wish the forum every success and everything well to all of you here with us today. Thank you again. Thank you.
Next, we're going to ask Mr. Felix Cho, Executive Vice President from Taiwan External Trade Development Council. Ms. Amelia and Mr. Wu from TBA, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. On behalf of TAITRA, to welcome you here to this forum. This forum, we have morning sessions and afternoon sessions. And for enterprises, I do believe this has a key influence to the industry. Because we are at a turning point, we must embrace sustainability and advanced technology. Last year, you've all seen the economist telling us that if temperatures rise by 3 degrees on Earth, then no place is safe. So that we know in extreme climates, we will become refugees of the climate, and that number can be up to billions. So we must minimize the influence of extreme climate. We must respond to the challenge immediately and take aggressive action. So according to a scientific research, if everyone lives like people in the Netherlands and ride their bikes to work and to daily activities, they would definitely minimize about 700 million tons of carbon emission per year. So we must have net zero transportation and net zero sports activities. That is the goal of our future. So cycling in itself is a very environmentally friendly activity, and cycler has been actively pushing for green procedure, recyclable packaging, and reusable packaging. So we are actually adjusting to these new future green trend. For the industry to be continue on the road of sustainability, there's still a lot to do, which is why we are very proud to invite experts from Europe and from the United States to talk about carbon emission and the future of the cycling industry. Now, in the afternoon session, we'll talk about the revolution of technology. We have new AI revolution that can be mass-produced. It is a very popular topic. AI is like a genie from the lamp. It came very suddenly and as if out of nowhere and brings great change. And the sporting industry is also influenced by it. We have these training avenues, and it would bring a new ecosystem into the industry that makes training more precise, and we'll be able to see these sporting competitions in a better way and perspective. And according to these prospects and researches, we will reach somewhere around 36 billion, which is 3 times more than 2021. From the Olympics, from other world sport games, we know that it is the best way and the quickest way to unify all the audiences worldwide. If you go to a baseball game, you can feel that kind of enthusiasm, power, and passion that is so moving, which is why the sporting industries must use advanced technology to spread its influence and attract the attention of more people. So today, we have invited many experts from Asia and Europe to talk about how these technologies can be applied into the industry and competitions. So Taipei and Taipei Cycle are both exhibitions that has been long-standing in Taiwan. So today we're going to talk about sustainability and technology in this forum. So we have experts that is very experienced in these fields, and hopefully we'll be able to come to consensus and head to a better and brighter future. I would like to wish resilience, sustainability, and beyond forum all the success. Thank you.
Felix, would you please remain on the stage? Next, we'd like to invite our VIP speakers to join us on the stage for the group photo. Thank you. Let's welcome Ms. Amelia Dai, Secretary General, Bureau of Foreign Trade, MOEA. Robert Wu, Chairman of TBA, please also join us on the stage. Next, let's welcome Charlie Liu from BAS. Next, let's welcome Johnson Wu, General Manager of CHC.
Next, please welcome Mr. Edward Benjamin, Chairman of Light Electric Vehicle Association. And next, we would like to welcome Mr. Ross Stewart Campbell, Founder and CEO of Fit Summit and Active Franchising.
Next, I would like to welcome Qingwei Zhang, Founder and CEO of Imotech, and Jay Lin, Co-Founder and CEO of Unigym. Please also join us on the stage.
Okay, please look at the cameras in the center together. 我们邀请所有贵宾一起看向中间摄影师的镜头。And don't forget to smile. Okay, how about thumbs up for the photo shoot, please? Okay, please look at the camera in the center once again. Thank you very much for joining the photo shoot. Thank you.
Please return to your seats. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, next we're going to move on to the first talk today. Sports definitely has become a very important part of our life, and exactly how technology is going to take sports to the next level. To talk about green transportation for the sustainable future, we're very happy to be joined by Manuel Marsilio, General Manager of Confederation of the European Bicycle Industry. CONEBI has long been paying close attention to the development of the cycling industry in Europe. And also, Mr. Marsilio is a very important representative of the newly established WBIA. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our first keynote speaker of the day, Mr. Manuel Marsilio.
Like I said, very glad to be in Taiwan. Very glad as well to be at the Taipei Cycle Show. It was so nice to come in the past before the pandemic, and now it feels, again, very positive to be here, to see all of you. I think this is a very important place and a very important moment for all of us to speak with each other, to see each other face to face again. We've used a lot of technology to speak with each other via laptops, but I think we cannot really avoid, and I think it's super valuable to see each other face to face and really discuss, like we did in the past, much more. So really, thank you for inviting me. Special thanks as well to the organizers, Taitra, TBA President Robert. Thank you very much to all of you for the opportunity. This is going to be a very brief introduction to what we think from the European side about two keywords of this event: resilience and sustainability. And I will try to give a very small glance at what is happening at European level. But of course, glad to discuss with you afterwards. We have a lot of time today, so please do not hesitate to reach out and discuss further. So, there is a valuable interconnection between the European industry and the Taiwanese one. And the creation of the World Bicycle Industry Association, WBA, just a few years ago has strengthened such a connection. The Taipei Cycle Show is, without any doubts, a very important place, like I said, for the global bicycle industry to connect, to link with each other. So today's forum on resilience and sustainability, and even beyond, I think fits perfectly the role of this fair to exchange ideas in a changing environment, which is a critical global issue. So resilience. We talk a lot about resilience, but I wanted really to find the exact meaning of the word. And I found two interesting versions of the word resilience. One, it's the capacity to withstand or to recover quickly from difficulties. Very important. And the second one, it's the ability of a substance or an object to spring back into shape. Elasticity, flexibility. So I like this word as part of the title of this conference because it's really about resilience, first of all. So the pandemic has shown us that resilience is not an option. We cannot say we might be resilient. We have to be resilient. The industry must be resilient in order to be able to face challenges. And it's also a must for the long-term development of the industry. There is no long-term development without resilience in our minds. And without resilience, there is no elasticity, there is no flexibility in the way our sector can deal with the problems and find solutions. I think, and we all know, that the industry has shown resilience in the aftermath of the pandemic. It was not easy, but I've seen that. But the pandemic has also told us that there is no long-term growth if the change is not linked to a vision of a sustainable future, of a sustainable industry. And that's why we go to the second key word of this conference, which I think is really, really spot on. And it's sustainability. Again, looking at the meaning of the word. Sustainability, the idea that goods and services should be produced in ways that do not use resources, that cannot be replaced, and that do not damage the environment. We see, it's the beginning, but we see that companies around the world are recognizing their responsibility to reduce their impact on the environment. And many are taking steps, concrete steps, to implement sustainable practices throughout their operations in different ways. Having said that, we are just at the beginning of an overall long path that, whether we want it or not, is going to have an impact on a lot of aspects. And of course, there is an evident urgency of taking actions to ensure a sustainable future also for us as citizens and the generations to come. We have to think about the future also in those terms. So the world is facing numerous environmental challenges, like said at the beginning of this conference, from climate change to resource consumption, and of course, pollution. These issues are not only threatening our planet's health, but also our own well-being and the future. So, the role of sustainability. The European industry has taken significant steps in recent years to address these challenges and to promote sustainable development. However, there is still much work to be done. And the European Union is currently engaged in legislative discussions aimed at strengthening its sustainability policies within the framework of the European Green Deal. One of the most significant legislative proposals linked to the Green Deal is the European Climate Action. So, which was adopted by the European Union back in 2021. The European Climate Law is a binding legal framework that sets the European Union's targets of reducing greenhouse gas emissions by at least 55% by 2030, compared to the 1990 levels. This kind of law also includes a commitment to achieve climate neutrality by 2050, and it establishes a system of governance to ensure that the EU meets its climate goals. Another significant regulatory proposal linked to the Green Deal is the Circular Economy Action Plan, which was adopted by the European Union 1 year before, in 2020. The action plan sets out a comprehensive framework for promoting a circular economy in the European Union with the aim of reducing waste and increasing resource efficiency. The action plan includes measures to promote sustainable product design, reduce the use of single plastics, increase the use of recycled material, that's very, very important, and improve waste management practices. We have to be better in waste management. It also includes initiatives to promote the development of new business models and to support the creation of new opportunities for economic growth and innovation in the circular economy. That's very important for the industry as well. We should not see, what I want to say is that we should not see these changes as a threat. We should have the right mindset and see these changes as opportunities for the long-term growth of the industry. Another example is the European Union's Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, that many of you might know as CBAM, that is seen as an essential step in the fight against climate change. So the CBAM is a measure proposed by, again, the European Union, aimed at reducing carbon leakage to tackle the phenomenon of operations in countries with weaker climate policies, resulting in increased greenhouse gas emissions. So under the CBAM, importers of certain goods into the European Union would have to pay a carbon price in the future. In the short term, CBAM will include materials like steel and aluminum, not consumer goods. But we have to think in the medium to long term. And so in the medium to long term, this might affect, to a certain extent, also the bicycle, e-bike, and parts makers globally. Last but not least, the proposals about the EU batteries that we're now discussing a lot at this show, batteries legislation, and the eco-design will require manufacturers to use more sustainable materials and set targets for the recycling and the reuse, more reuse, not just recycling, encouraging manufacturers to design products that are easier to disassemble and recycle, disassemble and recycle. So, like I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, I'm glad very much that CONEBI and TBA are among the members of the World Bicycle Industry Association. Global topics must be discussed under a global umbrella. And we have an opportunity today in different ways. In Europe, we are working on what I mentioned before and adding more actions as voluntary commitments for companies. In US, in Taiwan, similar work is taking place, and I'm really looking forward to hearing those presentations. We must speak with each other and provide guidance to companies all over the world. That's why do not forget about this afternoon's WBI event at 2 p.m. on how to make supply chains more sustainable, where we are going to introduce 10 concrete principles that can fundamentally support the industrial transition. So this is a starting point. I think we saw many bilateral discussions and regional activities. I think we needed to have one global head, bringing everybody together. That's a starting point, like I said, so more work will be done. More discussions will be opened. So we really like to invite everybody to join, to propose, not to be shy, to tell us what you think, and to be part of the process, because this conference is just the first step. There will be more actions we will have to follow up, and I think it will be beneficial for everybody to be involved in this and for us to understand more, if anything, or what is missing out of those 10 principles. So, in conclusion, I will quote something. Coming together is a beginning. Staying together is progress. And working together is success. This quote by the famous Henry Ford emphasizes the importance of collaboration and teamwork in achieving success. In the same way, collaboration and progress between Europe and Taiwan can be made by maintaining strong relationships. True success can be achieved by working together towards a common goal. And I think we have one, big one. So let's work together, share our expertise and resources, and collaborate to create a brighter future for both Europe and Taiwan. 谢谢. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to Mr. Marsilio for your inspiring talk. Thank you.
Next, we're going to talk about the e-bike market trend. We're proud to invite Chairman Edmund Benjamin from Light Electric Vehicle Association. Let's talk about the distributors and the brands and how they promote and use electric bikes. Let's talk about the world trend of e-bike market. Let's welcome Edmund Benjamin from LEVA. Please give him a big round of applause. Thank you.
大家好，早安。因为我的中文很不好，所以我要翻译。My name is Edward Benjamin. I'm chairman of the Light Electric Vehicle Association, and I have very poor Chinese for you Westerners. I'm going to rely on a translator. In my talk today, I want to emphasize that we are in our bright future. Other way. I've been in the electric bike business since the 90s. And we struggled and we struggled and we struggled, and today we are in our bright future. And the question is, how will we manipulate it? Because it's really the beginning of our bright future. We've come so far from the days when the question was, will the bike work? Will it go as far as it needs to go? Will the customer be able to rely on it? Because now we're building pretty good product. We are in our bright future, but the last few months have been disappointing. A lot of us have got overstock, or we're hearing complaints of overstock, and this I blame on the COVID pandemic. We had a period of time where people ordered too much, and then the industry adapted and shipped that product, and now we complain that we got to sell those bikes. But we are producing and selling millions of e-bikes today. And our market, you know, where I'm paying attention to, the world bicycle industry is paying attention to only a few markets. What about the rest of the world? And I'm going to touch on that a little bit during this talk. But I expect our business, because we are providing something that human beings must have for the future. Human beings are moving into ever more heavily populated cities. We are dealing with climate change. We're dealing with limited resources. We're dealing with overcrowding and overpopulation. And one of the tools that can help us with that is the bicycle and the electric bicycle. We have an inevitable success. We're providing a tool that the human race must have. So, we're paying attention to the markets in the major, what I think of as the major bicycle markets of the past. We pay attention to what's happening in China, the United States, European Union, yeah, but where do we have masses of people that need to improve their lives with better transportation? South Asia, the Middle East, Latin America, South America, Africa. There are billions of people living in these markets, and so far, the electric bike industry has only lightly touched them. I expect that we're going to see the normal everyday business of the electric bike industry reach 100 million bikes a year in the not very distant future. We're almost there now. How big can it get? I'm not sure. If we look at history, the normal bicycle business, the normal bicycle business sold something in the neighborhood of 150 million bikes a year. Are we going to replace all of those with electric? I don't think so. Are we going to have expanding population and expanding use of the electric bike? Yes. So I'm going to say 100 million bikes a year, and I know that I'm pretty safe. But we face some challenges. We face some really big challenges. And one of them that is right in front of us today is battery fires. They threaten lives, they threaten property, and they threaten our reputation. It was just a few years ago that the hoverboard, the side-by-side stand-upon electric scooter, was an exciting, innovative toy and potential transportation tool. And what happened to it? A few of them caught fire. The media denounced them, and we don't see many of them today, nothing like we thought we would see. But this is a reputational problem, and the reputational problem came because a few businessmen said, I need to cost down, cost down, cost down, and the battery is where I can do the most cost down. So I'm going to reduce the quality, I'm going to cut some corners with my battery, and when it catches fire and sets fire to a container full of scooters or catches fire in a home in Chicago, it's very bad for us. And that's what's happening to the electric bicycle now. It's not that many fires, but these fires are getting a lot of attention, and they are very dangerous, and we have a moral responsibility and a business necessity to eliminate these fires. One of the tools to eliminate these fires is more extensive third-party testing. In Europe, third-party testing is an idea that has been deployed as long as I've been aware. But in the United States, the UL listing or UL testing has been optional. It's not required by law. It's a completely voluntary thing, and it's very expensive. And so the UL standards for electric bikes have been largely ignored. Yeah, ignored. We have 350 or more brands of electric bicycles in the United States, and nine of them have done something about UL listing. Now, I have sympathy. UL listing is very expensive. I'm not sure the exact price. Maybe there's someone here that does know, but I've been told it's at least $30,000 per model and perhaps as much more than $100,000. And if you are a small importer or a small manufacturer of electric bikes, those are very serious numbers. Those numbers are going to be applied to us. I'm going to mention in a moment one of the changing business models that must change because of product liability issues in the United States. The combination of changing liability problems and third-party testing becoming a necessity, and probably third-party testing become a legally mandated issue very soon, we're going to see that 350, maybe as many as 400 importers, is probably going to become about somewhere between 25 and 50. For those of you that sell to distribution, electric bike distribution in the United States, that means that most of your customers are going to go away. So a few of those customers are going to survive. Did you make good choices when you picked your customers? The Consumer Product Safety Commission has sent a letter recently to the Bicycle Industry of America saying, please conform to the UL listing. They don't have the legal power to demand it. But we have recently we have state legislatures saying, you're going to sell bikes in our territory, you're going to have to comply with UL requirements. Another challenge that we face is product quality. We think our product quality is pretty good. I think our product quality is pretty good, but I'm a bicycle guy. And let me tell you something about being a bicycle guy. We accept crap quality. The automobile industry builds good quality. They build vehicles that go out and in all weather, all conditions, and operate for thousands of hours. Will our bicycles do that? If I leave my bicycle out in the weather the way my wife leaves her car out in the weather, my bicycle will be junk in a year or two. There's no way I'm ever going to get my bicycle to go 100,000 miles, but why not? Our customers are used to the idea that they can buy a vehicle or buy a product that will just work. And the bicycle industry is still providing product that hasn't changed much since the 1970s in terms of utility. The bicycle's got to be assembled. Well, we can deal with that. I'll tell you, it's a lot easier to assemble a bicycle today, courtesy of Giant Bicycle, pioneers in this, than it was when I started turning wrenches in 1969. In 1969, assembling a Schwinn Varsity took 45 minutes, and you really had to know what you were doing, and the bike didn't work very well when you were done. Today's bicycles are much better, but they are nothing compared to a Toyota. I'm going to mention political complications. We've got political complications in the form of extra taxes, extra duties. We've always had those. But we also have political complications in the sense of, can I do business with that supplier because they're located in a place that might have some kind of political or might have a war break out. I better find a different supplier is something that I hear from people now. Personally, I hope, I pray, that there will not be any hostility in Asia, but it's a possibility, and it concerns us. And these political complications could completely destroy our business as we know it today. So let's hope that doesn't happen. Another issue that we deal with, and this is a temporary issue, and somebody here is probably going to go, Benjamin, don't talk about overstock lightly. It costs me a lot of money. Yeah, it costs you a lot of money, but it's temporary. And it is an accident caused by the pandemic. Now, changing business models. A moment ago, I said there's going to be some changes in product liability, or there's going to be changes caused by product liability in the United States. Our largest volume electric bicycle brands sell direct to the consumer. And direct to the consumer is very efficient. We eliminate one layer of margin. The product that we give the customer is very attractively priced. However, there's a problem. We're now asking the consumer to be the final assembler. And I think we all know that the final assembler is a very important part of the quality control process. So we're taking our product and we're putting it in the hands of somebody who's completely inexperienced, unqualified to be the final assembler of the product. There are court cases working right now where the accusation, the injured party is saying, I wouldn't have gotten hurt if the person who put my bicycle together had been better at what they do. The person who put their bicycle together was them. Okay, we're going to see, in a not very distant future, I think, a lot of pressure on American brands to find something other than delivering a bike in a box to the doorstep of the consumer and asking them to put it together. Is that going to be distribution through retail storefronts, perhaps? Is it going to be distribution through truck-based mechanics, perhaps? Is it going to be distribution based through something that I don't have any idea about and someone in this room is going to come up with that idea? Maybe. I've already talked quite a bit about battery fires, but let me point out that we have, I'm going to repeat this because it's so important, we must stop the battery fires. And we all, in this room, I think we all know it's because somebody said, I need a cheaper battery. Let's stop that. I need a safer battery. I need a battery that's absolutely reliable. I mentioned a moment ago quality. We need bikes to come out of the box and last for years with no attention. A Toyota quality. Now, innovation. I was kind of intrigued with the idea of what are we going to do about innovation for electric bicycle business? Well, we have a lot of innovation that we're in the midst of deploying right now. Ideas, in some cases, have been around for 25 years. but we didn't have the right price, or we didn't have the right source, or the consumers had never heard of it, the dealers had no idea what it was, and we're now deploying a lot of this stuff. So I'm going to make a very quick trip through this, but I'm going to point this out. I'm a bicycle mechanic. That's where I came from. I think of servicing a bicycle as involving wrenches and screwdrivers. And today it involves updating the software and changing the parameters in the backdoor access to the controller. And we need to start thinking that way. We need to produce product that is as reliable as my iPhone and is as easy to change as the software in my iPhone and is as interesting to the consumer to change as the changes in the software of my phone make my, never mind, I'm very clumsy at saying that. After sales service, we've got to find a way to solidly deliver it. Right now, the number of retail stores that will work on electric bicycles in the United States is increasing pretty steadily. The Light Electric Vehicle Association has trained something close to 1,500 mechanics. We normally take a bike mechanic and teach them how to work on an electric bike. That's a huge improvement, but we ain't there. We are not done. Now, some of the things that are advanced features that we're going to be dealing with in the electric bike world: telematics, connectivity, vehicle-to-vehicle communication. I believe that this group is sophisticated enough that all of these are phrases that you already know about. But one of the questions that was asked to me one time by an engineer for a car company, he said, if we could build a bicycle that could not have an accident, would that be interesting? And I thought, how do you do that? That's a silly idea. It's not a silly idea. And so I suggest to this group that not only do we need to build bicycles that are as good a quality as a Toyota, but we also need to build bicycles that cannot have an accident. And if you're thinking right now, that Benjamin guy is kind of stupid to even suggest we can build a bicycle that doesn't have an accident, think that, but then figure out how to do it. In the automobile industry, safety features that have been installed in ever better, ever more cars, those safety features mean that a lot fewer people get hurt, a lot fewer people die. And vehicle-to-vehicle communication, where the vehicles know where they are because of GPS, are communicating with each other because of some short-range communication system, which could be Wi-Fi, could be Bluetooth, could be something else. Because the vehicles are talking to each other, they know where each other are. When an accident is about to happen, the operators get a warning, get a heads up. This is a big part of our future. And a helmet that calls for the fire department when you fall off your bicycle, I think they already exist. I think they're going to become standard. Now, everybody likes market numbers. I pay attention to electric bikes. But one of the things, and I think most of the people in this room must pay attention to electric bikes or you wouldn't be sitting still this long. But I note that the equipment that we use to build an electric bike, the motor, the controller, all the stuff that we use to build an electric bicycle is the exact same stuff that's used for almost all of micromobility vehicles. And micromobility vehicles are a much bigger market than electric bikes. And we have the ability to build satisfactory vehicles in that category. So I have some bright people that are my friends that work in Brussels, and they pay attention to the European market, and they collected these numbers for me. And they said, well, in Europe, electric bicycles combined with all of the subcategories of electric bicycles, combined with mini scooters, monowheels, hoverboards, combined with electric mopeds and motorcycles, totals more than 16 million units, as compared to 878,000 electric cars. Okay, our electric bike business is great, but we could take the same skills and the same materials and expand it into a much bigger business. The United States market, we are way behind Europe, but we are growing significantly now. In 2021, we were at 880,000, and that was the year that the American media woke up to the fact that there were more electric bikes sold than electric cars. That was kind of a fun moment. In 2022, we imported about 1.1 million bikes, and we did not sell all of them. So many of them are still in stock rooms around the country. But the fact that they're there means that we will sell them. And in my opinion, the growth will continue to climb. I've mentioned we have more than 350 companies importing electric bikes to the United States. With the change in business practices, we're going to see some of our direct-to-consumer companies have to change. We're going to see insurance become much more expensive. We're going to see third-party testing becoming necessary. So I'm predicting a decrease in the number of companies. But you all know very well, the United States is not the main market. We're not even an important market. We're a good market. But what about the rest of the world? Well, my numbers for China might be a little bit uncertain. I used to have a brilliant young woman that worked for me in Shanghai, and she went off and got married and had a baby, and she doesn't work for me anymore. It was very disappointing. But 44 million units this year. India, 9.5 million. Japan, Japan's always been a solid contributor to, and now they're 800,000. Southeast Asia, I don't know. Anybody here know how many electric bikes went into Southeast Asia? Anybody bold enough to just shout it out? A lot. I don't know any more than that. And then we have all of those countries I mentioned right up front: Africa, Middle East, Latin America. We have many billions of people that are yet to become our customers, but I think inevitably they will be our customers. Now, I know from past experience that getting this group to ask questions is a challenge that it's not going to happen. I know, but you can email me. And if you've got a question, you can email me, and I promise that if I like your question, I will reply. So I want to thank you for your attention. 谢谢.
Thank you very much to Mr. Benjamin for your explicit and inspiring talk. Thank you.
Next, we're going to turn our attention to deployment and management. Let's welcome our next speaker, Charlie Liu, representative of Bicycling Alliance for Sustainability and also the project manager for the ESG project from Giant. He has a lot of experiences working with other parties and stakeholders in promoting ESG. Next, please welcome Charlie.
Good morning, everyone. It's such an honor to be invited to have my speech here. And I would like to share all the experiences with all of you regarding my experience in Giant, my experience in BAS, and also what is BAS, what BAS is doing now, and our next steps. So for what is BAS? On the eve of World Bicycle Day last year, there are 33 industry leaders. We formed Bicycling Alliance for Sustainability. And later on, we unite and conclude in our mission and comprehensive ESG goals. And what are they? The missions of the Alliance is like, we want to integrate internal and external resources because we want to make most use of the resources, and we want to move very fast. And we want to lead low carbon transformation on the supply chain, which is unique. I think it's one and only so far in the world. And then we want to cultivate ESG standards to industry. And we want to label consumer-centric ESG achievement because we want to deliver the valuable message to the end users, to the consumers, and want everyone in this industry to move fast. And we have very high quality of the requirements, including we want to all of us to perform Scope 1 and Scope 2 greenhouse gas inventory within 2 years. And then we want it to be very meaningful, so we want it to cover 70% of the business operations. And we want to every member to commit to reduce by 3% the carbon emission year after year. And then we set up a target for 2030. It's 25% reduction or 40 kilograms per bike. And then for our valuable partners, we also have some requirements to engage. For example, like the employees, like the cyclists, and also suppliers. We emphasize on labor rights of our employees, and we emphasize the maintenance of cycle lane on our cyclists, and we emphasize supplier engagement. We want to maximize the impact of the ESG we are doing in the alliance. And then we want the transparent disclosure. We want to tell everyone what we are doing right now, and we want to make it public and make most impact of it. We are the proud members of BAS because we are, just like I said, we are the one and only bicycle alliance that prioritizes the consumption and manufacturing with comprehensive ESG goals. And we ask all of our members to provide high quality data because we want this data to be very useful for science-based solutions. Because to decarbonize the supply chain is very hard. Together with the data, the science, and the supply chain that we are good at, we know this is a race that we can win. And we also support by the world leading brands. They are BAS sponsored members. And how BAS works. We have some achievements so far, though we already have our first quarters. So for education, we have our members that take educations in terms of like ESG knowledge or ISO standards. And then there are more than 500 attendants of the education. And also we promise to measure scope 1 and 2 within 2 years. Now, so far, only 1 quarter, there are more than 50%, half of our members, they measured or they are measuring scope 1 and 2. So I think we are overachieved a little bit. And then we want all of those numbers to get verified. So this is the science data we can make most use of it. And this is a learning organization. We invite external experts to join us and to give advice. We start from ourselves, we share our best practice, and we learn. We also proudly contribute to the WBIA Sustainable Supply Chain Principles. Okay. So maybe I can further share our practice in Giant with you. U-Bike, you can see it in our booth. And then by the end of 2022, there are more than 634 million rides. So if we refer to the methodology, there are approximately 40,000 times around the Earth. And in 2023, we estimate another 100 million rides, which means a reduction of 16,000 tons of carbon emission. And within Giant Group, what are our strategies to promote ESG? We have a very solid foundation, like the scientific numbers I mentioned. It's like carbon greenhouse gas inventories. And then we have our ESG strategy. And then we roll out monthly PDCA meeting. And then we bring in a lot of innovation. For the solid foundation, in order to obtain the holistic data, so we do more. For example, on organization level, we have a scope 3, all 15 categories numbers, because we want to know the holistic number. And then for the product, we have our manufacturing and our supplier data. So we can develop science-based reduction plan. According to BCG report showed, in the year 2022, only 10% of companies are able to achieve a complete carbon audit because the challenging part is the carbon emission from scope 3. And we already complete scope 1, 2, 3 within 7 months and covering 70% of our operations. And I'll share some improvement. If you, I think my understanding is that we really gain a new viewpoint from the ESG, because in the past, we don't see our manufacturing process in this way. On the left-hand side, we can see we narrow down our spray booth from 5 meters to 3 meters, because it is more energy efficient. And on the right-hand side, this is our machine, new machinery to provide our recycling water. And then we can reduce water resource by 5,000 tons a year. If you want to check out more cases, please visit the booth at L2016. Okay. And we also do self-construct solar panel. We literally evaluate every property. And by the year of 2023, we will have total 7 projects completed to make most use of the solar energy. And in addition to this, we obtain the certificates. It's called TREC. It's Taiwan Renewable Energy Certificate. And it's worldwide accredited. And our factory in Taiwan, the carbon emission, the outcome is year on year, it's a reduction of 17.7% if we're comparing carbon emission per million US dollars. And we want to encourage let's cycling for climate. Cycling for climate, we want less carbon footprint and want more ride, right? So how we approach this? If we add bike in this formula, and then we know what we are doing. For the carbon footprint, we want to reduce 3% within BAS, right? And then we have carbon footprint per bike, which means the carbon footprint label. And then we want to deliver the achievement to consumers, to end users. And then on the right-hand side, it's per bike, we want more rides, right? So it could be more mileage, or it could be bike sharing, or any kind of circularity. It's innovation here. So if we can both do these things, and then we can do cycling for climate. Okay. And then, in addition, like the certificates, the carbon credits, the carbon offset I mentioned before, whenever we move from a high carbon footprint to low carbon footprint, please also keep in mind to obtain some certificates, to obtain some carbon credits as well, like I show you, right? So there could be some certificate for renewable energy. And in Taiwan, we are having the certificate if we replace the scooter with new e-scooters. And then we are trying to persuade the authority if we can grant this certificate to e-bike. And then for bike ride, you can check the CDM methodology. There are a lot of ways you can earn the carbon credit. And eventually, we want to promote individual cycling carbon credit passport. And it can eventually benefit to every individual cyclist because it's tradable with economic value and distribute to individual cyclists. Okay, so let's revisit the cycling for climate. And let's turn the cycling into the most powerful weapon to fight climate crisis. Thank you. So we are the proud members of BAS. We are in a race we can win. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. 谢谢刘经理为我们带来的精彩演讲。
Next, we are going to welcome the General Manager of the Cycling and Health Tech Industry R&D Center. He has been promoting a smart design in e-bikes and talent exchange and cultivation. He has a lot of experience in elevating the industry and the competitiveness. Let's welcome Johnson Wu. Robert Wu, Edward Benjamin, and all the ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's an honor to be here today to talk about the decarbonization of the bike industry in Taiwan. So I'm going to start with the policies of the government and then go into the industries and strategies adopted by the cycling industry. Just like what Giant told us about their goal and their application of the carbon reduction process, I'm going to talk more on that. Now, the first theme is Taiwan's 2050 net zero emissions roadmap and strategy. As we all know, climate change is inevitable, and governments around the world has been offering net zero goals and visions. So the trend in Taiwan is ever more important. President Tsai has actually declared the transition to net zero by 2050 in the 2021 Earth Day Declaration. So we have taken initiative. In 2021 August, we have been talking about keeping the 2050 net zero emission goal into the GHG management bill. And last year, in December, we have actually issued 12 key strategy active plan. And this is what the government is doing now to promote the net zero carbon emission goals. So Taiwan has the 2050 net zero carbon emission roadmap and strategy introduction. We have 4 strategies and 2 bases. Now 2 bases are technology advancement and regulation. So the government would be consolidating the effort and resources from the government, the academia, and the private sectors. And then we will have maybe carbon pricing strategies, and we have other financial policies targeting these carbon emission and reduction. And then we have energy transformation, industrial transformation, lifestyle transformation, and social transformation. As for energy transformation, the government will work with the industry to tackle the power energy, solar energy system consolidation, and energy storage systems, so that we'll be able to dive into new renewable energy sources. As for industrial transformation, we have high-tech industry and traditional manufacturing industry, the construction industry. They will be reusing all these resources for their transformation, and they will change their behavior to ensure that the industry will be able to promote the transformation in lifestyle. Now, the lifestyle transformation then will be involving green transportation and the electrification of the building of an environment. Now, let's talk about the industries in emission, reduction of the carbon emission. We have alliances, and we have 2 solutions, 3 trends, 4 transformations, and 5 key points. Just like what Charlie said, we have BTS establishment really promote the development of the trend. Now, the goal of BTS is to promote the carbon reduction in the production of bicycles. And also, while riding, we have these carbon passports for riders to ensure a sustainable supply chain and allow the bicycle industry to become a true green industry. Now we have green circular economy and green energy because Taiwan is an island. 97% of the energy has to be imported from other countries. Therefore, due to the scarcity of resources, we must really find regenerative energy, and we have to produce energy-saving products. So we have residences, buildings, factories. We can see solar panels installed onto the roof. And this is a testament to our determination to promote these renewable energy. And we have new material to reduce the consumption of energy so as to lower the consumption of energy in total. So we have a lot of energy storage equipment to adjust the needs of power and electricity during the peak hours and the more lax hours. As according to our statistics from 2020, we have a increase in the export of e-bike. We have more than 76,000 units of bikes. And then we see a 30% increase later. And last year, due to the pandemic, we still had a 5% increase. So we have about 1 million units that are exported. So I do believe that in 2027, the export of e-bikes will surpass the export of traditional bikes. So BAS and Taitra do believe that the sales of e-bike in Germany will definitely surpass traditional bikes this year. As for the production, in 2021, the total production is about 2.4 million, and last year it has grown to 2.6 million. And amongst that, two-thirds of them are e-bikes. So last year, e-bike accounts for 2/3 of the production of the total bikes produced. So as bikes become electrified, I do believe we will be able to lead the bicycle industry into a new glory. Just like what Edward said earlier, the electrification or related power assistant devices can be connected to the internet, or these components will be able to monitor and control them through system control panels. And all these will enable us to see an increase in the sales of e-bikes. So bicycle as a green transportation vehicle will definitely see a huge increase in the future and become our best friend in protecting the environment. And so for the design and process and design and research all have to be falling into the sustainable category. We really need to use renewable materials. As for the procedure, we must have some energy reduction control units. As for the service, we must stress that we must actually stress the relationship between user, bike, and environment. And then we have 5 key points. So carbon pricing, we have green finance, and we have other key points that must be focused and worked on by both the government and the society. So I do believe these 5 reasons are the key things that we must target in the future. And next, I'm going to talk about some cases. Well, the application of renewable material and the design and the procedure. These are the 3 major aspects. We know that aluminum is used in bicycle, but aluminum alloy, the production of aluminum alloy will produce high carbon emission. So the primary aluminum per kilo, the production of aluminum alloy per kilo will have 9.8 kilograms of carbon emission, which is why it's definitely good for us to use renewed aluminum. It is definitely a way to reduce carbon reduction. As well as steel and copper and plastic, if we recycle them, we will definitely maximize the reduction of carbon emission. And of course, when we are talking about green design, we must go from reduce, reuse, recycle, and regeneration. It is product that designed through these 4 R principles that can be really environmentally friendly and sustainable. And as for the procedure, we must talk about energy, water resource, material, and delivery. We must really reduce carbon emission from the source. And we must have a very complete and well-adjusted production system to actually eliminate all waste. So the emphasis is how can we really use electric power, thermal energy, air conditioning, pneumatic system, or light system. And we have to actually give them smart control systems to really fit into a very revolutionized e-bike system. Now I'm going to talk about some cases like KMC. Now KMC produces chains. Now the lengths of the chain they've produced can go from Earth to Moon and then come back 6 times. And now they are targeting the carbon reduction work since 2010. Now they have been building green energy infrastructures. So you can see on the roof of their buildings and factories, there are solar panels. So that can actually reduce 6% of the carbon emission. And then it has standardized the type of packaging and the materials used. Third, they reduce the production waste because they produce chains, right? So they have these sheets sheet metal. Now these leftovers are then recycled again instead of thrown away. So these sheet metal leftovers are recycled and made into protection nets or mouse traps. Now these are all, so you can see a lot of these products in the countries sold are actually made from the leftovers of these chains, and also barbecue nets. So as you can see, these leftovers can actually be made into definitely functional product instead of becoming trash. Now, electrums, they produce aluminum rims. So about a decade ago, they started introducing circular economy and carbon reduction plans. So they also recycle these aluminum leftovers, and they also saves energy and uses green energy. They also have carbon footprint certifications for almost all their products. Now we have Sunnyvale. Now Sunnyvale focuses on the design in circular economy and incorporates these sustainable concepts. As you can see, this is a storage box for bicycles. Now the original design, when you were delivering these storage units, you have to put them into paper boxes. So originally, only 624 pieces of the storage unit can be put into one cargo shipment. But later, they actually redesigned and improved the storage unit, and then they can fit 3,730 pieces into one cargo. So in conclusion, the 2025 net zero emission goal is what we strive to meet, and it should be on the mind of everybody as well. All international brand has been taking a look into the carbon reduction in the supply chain. Bicycle is a green product. We must be even more enthusiastic and active in this regard. And the government has been planning a lot of projects. This week, we will see new regulations to reduce carbon emission and energy consumption. So the government is leading us towards a bright future and grouping our efforts, pooling our efforts together to achieve the 2025 net zero emission goal. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Johnson for sharing so much with us. You may return to your seats. Thank you once again to our 4 speakers this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, next we're going to move on to the panel discussion. We're going to have some more discussion with our 4 speakers. And for the panel discussion, we're very happy to have Robert Wu, Chairman of Taiwan Bicycle Association, as our moderator. Let's firstly welcome Robert to the stage. Let's also welcome Charlie Liu, representative of Bicycling Alliance for Sustainability, project manager for Giant Group, and Johnson Wu, general manager of Cycling and Health Tech Industry R&D Center. Next, over to our moderator, Robert.
Hello, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to join us at the session 2. And first of all, I would like to appreciate the 4 speakers. They deliver a very important and very insight point of view. ESG and net zero, it became a very, very hard discussed issue. And according to your speech, we had only one word, and we have to protect it, and we have to take some actions. So let's starting this discussion today. So I will give the first question to all of you. So my first question is about how do you think the which part to achieving our net zero emission is most challenge one. Okay, for example, that is from law regulations, or like the governments, or manufacturing, or sales channel, is from like the consumer, or like from the supplier, even from other prospect. So, and how did you think how you can have a solution for these challenges? Can I start it with Manuel?
Thank you, Robert. Yes, this is working. So thank you for the question. I think this is very important to discuss this. In my opinion, we have 2 different ways linked to sustainability. One is legislation, and one is manufacturing. We know that in different countries in the world, also in Europe, there will be legislation that is going to have a substantial impact on the industry. And I just gave some examples, but it goes beyond this. On the other side, I think the industry, starting from manufacturers, they have not just the responsibility, but also the opportunity to get together and to show voluntary commitments. I've seen really nice examples from KMC, from Giant, and other companies as well. So these are voluntary examples. Nobody's imposing these kind of things on you. You're doing it because you have you have shown the lead on the way forward. So to reply concretely to this point, I think we have, starting from companies and manufacturers, to show this kind of responsibility, to do more, to do better. We have some good examples, but of course, many more companies should join the movement. And then, as a second step, also legislation will be an important element in making companies more sustainable and more in compliance with these new requirements.
Thank you. So that it means the regulation would give us a guidance. And of course, someone have to play a role as a benchmark to guidance to others. Okay, so how do you think?
Well, thank you. I had a conversation not too long ago with Josh Hahn. I think many of us know Josh. And he said in America, the goal is to replace a car with a bicycle. Now, manufacturing bicycles, Taiwan is the expert, and I don't know enough about improving carbon emissions in the manufacturing process. But I do understand very well that the biggest opportunity for us in the United States is to replace a car with a bicycle. And we're seeing that happen. We've got better laws all the time. We've got better bikeways all the time. Our politicians are more and more alert to this and more receptive. And perhaps most importantly, the people of America, particularly the generation younger than me, is embracing the idea of a bicycle instead of a car.
Good, that's great. So very soon we will find the very good supplier e-bike, seems like the Toyota. Okay, so thanks to Charlie.
Thank you, Robert. And I think it's to build the consensus in the supply chain is relatively easy, because when we want to do the low carbon transformation within Giant, surprisingly, all the function chiefs, they have that concept in mind already. And when we stand out and we ask for BAS, and for all the suppliers, they are really look high upon this. And then, so I think to build the consensus is easy, but I think in the past, maybe the supply chain is humble, so we do a lot, but we don't know how to express ourselves. So maybe in our requirements, we have to disclosure in our official website, and also we want to promote carbon footprint verification, the labels, and we want to strive for carbon credits, and then we want to share the valuable information to the marketplace, and so that we can build a very good cycle to encourage all our supply chain to do more. And thank you. I think this is the most important part.
Yes, thank you for the point of view. And I do believe the bus will be the best practice as what we call learning organization. So when someone do something, it's really benchmark us, and it will be a follower to follow very soon. I do think that would be come true very soon. So how about you, Justin?
Yeah, just like Manuel just said, regulation is very important. You have the regulation, and then the industry will follow suit. And one more thing that I want to point out here is that you also have to make the consumers understand that this is very important, so that you have a very high level of acceptance from the consumers, so that you can produce products that your consumers would like to purchase. As long as your consumers, they like what you do, then your sales will go up, the market will be better, and then one step leads to another. I think we can do it.
Wow, very impressive from the answer from all of you. And follow question will goes to individual one by one. So first, I'd like to give to Charlie. I appreciate the joint company team up with 66 bicycle industrial member to a BAS. And of course, we know BAS is for ESG. And of course, at the same time, you have the idea to carbon credit for cycling. It also built up. So how can the bicycle industry worldwide work together to realize the carbon credit for cycling? Please, Charlie.
Thank you. First of all, I think the awareness of carbon credit, when we are moving from a high carbon footprint to low carbon footprint, please always keep in mind there should be carbon credit, carbon offset, or any or certification of any kind. And then the second thing I want to bring out is about the data quality, because the carbon credit, there are very different qualities of it. So if you have a very good data quality, and then you can have other credit, like the trophies you add on the certificate, the trophies. So it will become more valuable. And then eventually we can distribute to individual cyclists, and then to encourage the cycling for climate, the cycling more. Thank you very much.
Wow, seems very high tech. So I hope someday future we do have the AI technology to helping us to have this credit. Yeah. So right now, while we turn to Manuel, European is an important global player for consumers market and also the production base. And CONEBI is among the first and the very most active industry association to promoting net zero emissions. So how is the status, and what are the European manufacturing the update to the net zero emissions so far?
Thank you, Robert, for the question. I remember we started quite some years ago the discussions on ESG, sustainability. And I remember some of our members thought it would be something really far in time.
Yes.
And we tried to explain that we have to look ahead and we have to be prepared, whether this is going to be somehow imposed or that is going to be something voluntary. And I think the pandemic has boosted a pattern that already started before the pandemic. I think the pandemic has shown us that we have an opportunity, that we have to get that opportunity in our hands and to do something concrete. Because one thing is to discuss about general principles, and one thing is to do. You said actions. We need actions. So at the European level, we started to see more companies and more associations of companies involved in these kind of discussions. And we said from one side, we can guide you through what is going to happen from the legislative point of view. You said it, guiding principles. Yeah. But from the other side, we need you to explain, to tell us what you're doing, and we should try all together to have joint commitments, because together we are stronger. So there has been a really important commitment last year on packaging. And we got a lot of companies really willing to sign, willing to commit, and there was really one first important example. But we know that out of the whole value chain, there is more to be done, more we will do, and now we're working on a CO2, let's say, reduction commitment. Yes. I am sure that also there we will see a lot of companies committing to that. What I see is that by speaking with individual companies, most of them, they're already starting the process internally. I think the challenge is to try to have a unified approach to this. How do we, for example, how do we calculate carbon footprint? There are different ways. They might be all good ways, but I think we need to have one concerted, homogeneous approach to say, okay, we can really understand properly as an industry, not as just one company, what is the carbon footprint of the operations, what is the carbon footprint of our products. I agree, the bicycle is, and the e-bike as well, is the greenest means of transportation. I think we really need to show that behind the products, we have companies committed to that kind of green footprint. So we're doing a lot, but I think there is still a lot to be done. And that's why I think this is going to be a long-term project. And we will see more companies in Europe committed, willing, active in promoting new ideas, better ideas for a green future of the industry.
Wow, very impressed. So during the pandemic, many of us, like me, I'm sleeping and I am working at the house, work from home. But European people is starting 3 years ago. Okay, so we have to catch up. All right, so let's go to Benjamin Edward. So U.S. also a very big market in the world. So how would U.S. achieve the net zero emission for the products, and how would the U.S. further to encourage the cycling culture? Thanks to you.
No, thank you. Long ago, we moved our bicycle factories to Asia. So all of the carbon emissions and the creation of the components in the bicycle, we took care of that decades before. Mm-hmm. So our issue today is using the bicycle, using the electric bike. We're improving the laws. That we've come so far very quickly in the last decade, improving bicycle laws, bicycle transportation facilities, the attitude and access of the population to bicycle facilities, and that perhaps is our most important event. We don't build the bikes, you build the bikes. We use the bikes. So how do we use them? We've improved our laws, we've improved our facilities, and in the case of electric bikes, renewable energy is more and more readily available, and we have more and more people in America who are choosing renewable energy, and I hope that they're choosing renewable energy to recharge their electric bike.
Good to hear that. So I don't think we are just only making the bicycle and selling the bicycle. We have to advocacy the cycling culture to enhance our market demand. So that is all the advantages for all of our industry. So now my question is turned to Jackson. So as a CHC, it's helping many of our company in Taiwan bicycle industry to decarbonize through technology assistance to showing a very good result. Can we have a more sample to more understand about how then achieve that? Please, Jackson.
Okay, 谢谢.
Okay. Aside from Giant or Electrum or Sunnyvale, I think in Taiwan, the government, the academia, and the companies are all working together about recycled materials and energy. So I would like to take this opportunity to talk about electrification and smart devices are all very key to the progress. Just like Edward said, in America, they're promoting e-bikes, and after electrification, that it would allow users to use this device or vehicle more. However, it would replace these fossil fuel using motorcycles or cars. Now, Taiwan is very competitive in the IC industry. So I do believe smart devices or smart systems is one of the key goals that we can really improve in. So e-bikes will be able to become more prevalent and will be able to reduce more carbon emission. And as for Giant, they have been promoting e-bikes in Taiwan and received huge success. There are other companies that have been promoting e-bikes or bikes, shared bikes, like maybe Mexico or the Netherlands. We have been to these countries to learn about their examples in shared bikes. So I do believe with the help of e-bikes and shared bikes, I do believe we'll definitely be able to reduce more carbon emission, and then we will be able to reach our goal in the 2050.
Wow, so impressed. I got some keywords, what we call in PPP, so public-private partnership. So we also hear, very nice to hear from our president and our economic minister. They deliver some message about how they would like to helping the small, medium company in Taiwan to help them to have to adopting net zero emission process. So that is the way we have to achieve to. Okay, so the last question goes to everyone. So as we know, COP26 and 27 both mention to reduce fossil fuel consumption to achieve decarbonization. In fact, cycling is the most direct and effective way for decarbonization. Then, how can bicycle industry worldwide work together to lead the way in decarbonization? So can I have the other turn? First from Jackson, please.
I do believe that micro-mobility is definitely the way to reduce carbon emission. So I agree with Giant, and I do agree with Robert that BAS is a great alliance to promote this work. Now they promote the reduction in the production procedure and the green cycling, which is carbon passport. I think carbon credit passport is a thing that we really need to work on. It has a lot of room for advancement. So if we can reduce carbon emission in both production and usage, we'll be able to achieve our goal.
Wow, so exciting. So it seems like we do green production, and advocacy, green mobility. So we will have a win the green again. Okay, so how about you, Charlie?
Okay, thank you. So I think we can start from ourselves. For example, like the infrastructure, we can participate in the maintenance of cycling lane and the environment, and then we will cherish the existing infrastructure, and then we will have better cycling experience, and then we can promote more public bike sharing systems and get more people on bikes. And then we will linking all the existing cycle lanes and also to improve the safety standards of cycle lanes. And then eventually we can share the new cycling culture with each other to share the joy of ride. And I think that's how we can do in the worldwide. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you for your point of view. Yeah, safety is the most concern for the cyclist. Our children, of course, we encourage our children to fun with a bike. But of course, the other hand, we concerning about the safety. So infrastructure is really very important. So thank you for your point of view. So how about you, Edward?
Thank you. I think that Taiwan needs to recognize its power. The Taiwanese are the experts and the leaders in the world bicycle industry. I have made my career to travel to many countries. Every place that I find a factory, I find Taiwanese either own it, or they manage it, or they have invested in it. The Taiwanese have done so many smart things in the world bicycle industry. What decisions you make about the direction of the industry are perhaps the most important. You're the most important voice. You have the power. So when I hear this little group talking about how to organize or what to do, I know that this is this main event, and what you decide to do and what you do will shape the industry.
Thank you. In fact, that is our honor. You mentioned many times about our teamwork here in Taiwan, and you also very good comment for the Taiwan bicycle industry. Thank you for your point of view. So, turns to Manuel.
It's difficult to reply now because we have heard so many interesting things that to complement is a challenge. But definitely I agree with the concept of, from one side, manufacturing. If we talk about the industry, that's why one topic that I did not mention, but it's important for us in Europe, is local manufacturing. Manufacturing closer to your consumers, closer to your markets, and that's one big way to be in line on sustainability. And then, of course, on the other side is about promotion of the usage. I'll give you one example. At the European level, we have been working on basically having a sort of European Union decision to adopt a first ever EU cycling strategy. And this cycling strategy, once ready, once adopted, will be a mix between recommendations to the national level on how to promote more cycling. You mentioned cycling infrastructure, definitely. Safety comes first. The biggest obstacle for people to embrace a bicycle is safety. So we need more support from the national governments to invest money to promote safe infrastructure. We have the part on supporting industry, like I heard yesterday from the economic minister, from president, about supporting industry when it comes to being more sustainable from the industrial side. And then I would add one more point, which is fiscal stimulus for consumers to buy bicycles and e-bikes. Let's give the chance to everybody to buy a bicycle and e-bike, because we need a level playing field with, for example, the automotive industry, which has enjoyed for decades a lot of subsidies from government. So let's give those incentives also to the bicycle community. I'm a cyclist, so I would like to see that as well for all of us. So I would really identify three big elements, and I think we're getting there. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you for the point of view. Again, I'm very excited to have this information. Yeah, indeed, I read some articles about the cycling strategy 2030 from the Europe. It's really exciting for me. So can I have a very easy to check it out? So anyone in this room, did you have the bicycle? Can you raise your hand? Your one bicycle. Okay. So keep your hand here. Keep your hand here. So someone, you have 2 bicycles. Still keep your hand. 3 bicycles. Wow, thank you. See? Thank you, thank you. Thank you for your answer. So that is the way we would like to try to promote. So some other, our audience in this room, if you do not have a bicycle yet, please come over to Giant, come over to Merida, and someone here, international brand, Decathlon, yes. Someone here? Track. Thank you, Track. So anyone here? Okay, so could you please come over to visit our booth all around here, the first floor and the fourth floor. So thank you for your attend the section 2, and I wish all of you have a very good show and a good day. And I appreciate again for your speech, and you do providing us very, very insight and very important information to this forum. Thank you again. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Chairman Wu, and thank you to all our panelists for your inspiring discussion.